The FSB represents small business people, true entrepreneurs. It's basically an organisation with about 200,000 members. It's uniquely made up of business people, of business practitioners that run non-corporate business, people that run independent businesses, the true entrepreneurs of the country, the engine room actually of the British economy.
I'd like to introduce the proposer of this motion. That on screen behind you, there's a time breaking down.
Chairman and fellow members, as well as being members of the FSB, we are all, each and every one of us, members of the European Union. Indeed, we are citizens of the EU, whether we like it or not. It was our politicians that imposed this upon us, gradually and slowly, so gradually that we did not notice. In 1975, we were given the chance to vote on whether to remain a part of what was then the common market. We were told that our sovereignty, our self-determination would not be lost. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we were lied to. Because of being a member of the European Union, we have become a part of a European political project which is detrimental to the freedom and prosperity of our country. In the lifetime of the FSB, the major decisions that affect all our businesses have not been made by British elected politicians, but by bureaucrats in Brussels, rather stamped by the European Parliament and gold-plated by the UK government. A torrent of regulation, red tape, bureaucracy pours out of Brussels. The EU is like a paper-making factory. The number of regulations, directives, legal acts issued by the EU has increased more than tenfold since the UK joined, and there are now over 25,000 in force. If Switzerland, Norway and Mexico can have a free trade agreement with the European Union, then so can the United Kingdom. As small businessmen and women, we run our business in a nation that prospers and grows, not least because we are a democratic country. The European Union is not a democracy, ladies and gentlemen, it is a bureaucracy. We will be electing politicians who supposedly govern our country. The reality is that we are governed by unelected bureaucrats whose decisions are rather stamped by a sham of the EU Parliament. The European Union is an affront to our democracy and a barrier to business growth. If you believe in democracy, if you believe in securing the future prosperity of this country in which you trade, you should vote for this motion.
Well, the first thing is that the Federation of Small Businesses needs to understand what is the European Union. It needs to understand the facets of it. It needs to understand that the European Union is essentially a political organisation. It is not a business organisation. It is not there to further business. It is basically about politics and the unification of a federal Europe.
Let us remind ourselves of one of the major points our membership allows us. We are one of the 165,000 members who belong equally to a lobbying group that fights for the protection and growth of small business. Make no mistake, we are a powerful force that is heard by and respected by Her Majesty's government. We have more rules and regulations than we can reasonably address. Let's use our vote. Return to our independence, our sovereignty, to the true democracy, and let us remain British.
Often, EU directives are quite flexible, allowing derogations, exemptions, and adaptable introduction time. Finally, the FSB is a mainstream business organisation You as delegates have to consider if proposing withdrawal from the EU would sit easily with a major lobbying body.
The European Union is about corporate business. It's not good for small business at all, and basically it's a constraint on business activity, and in a nutshell we should be leaving the European Union because it stifles business growth.
We've heard this morning a brief summary of why the European Union is bad for business. I only wish I had time to list the many reasons why the European Union is detrimental to the health of this great nation. In Euroland, France or Germany, for example, they don't have as many small businesses as we do. We are the exception. The European Union doesn't cater for small businesses, only the very large. In 5 to 10 years' time, if we stay in the European Union, there is every chance my business and your businesses won't survive. This conference may not be taking place in 5 to 10 years' time, because the FSB may not have the number of members it has today. I want to be in Britain and prosper in Britain, not in the EU and run by the EU. Ladies and gentlemen, please support this motion.
Mr. Chairman, honoured guests, conference. War is bad for business. Britain lost its empire through European wars. We now have a unified, albeit imperfect, European Union we can build on. This motion proposes the first step in the balkanisation of Europe and would increase the risk of new European wars. After war, nothing harms business more than high interest rates. Recent events show the reality of the fact that our interest rates, the key economic lever of power, are set by the American Federal Reserve. Leaving the European Union would not change this reality one bit. We lost our economic sovereignty long ago. Finally, better open government is what we all want. I come from Cornwall. I was born after the end of the British Empire. Government from Westminster is to me no more than an accident of history. Conference, I urge you to vote against the motion.
Chairman, I will remind the first speaker. Democracies do not go to war with each other. There is no example in history where two democracies have ever gone to war with each other. And I will remind you, the European Union is not a democracy. The United Kingdom is.
Small businesses employ round about 52% of people in the private sector. It's very important. The motion that I proposed in 2001, the precise wording was that the Federation of Small Businesses demands the repeal of the European Communities Act. Over 66% of the delegates at the conference agreed and voted that we should support the motion and leave the European Union. Well, the FSB is a truly independent organisation. It is actually apolitical. I would argue that it is very apolitical. On the subject of whether we should be a member of the European Union, it has a policy of a non-policy. It deliberately says that it has no policy on the subject. It doesn't take a side. Now, I'm of the firm belief that we can adopt what is known as the Norway option, in that we can, in the future, leave the European Union, yet still be a part of the single market through the European Economic Area. In fact, we can join EFTA, take advantage of the single European market without being a part of a European superstate.